Hey everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations, and you're with Simon today. And we're doing chart of the day. This is for the 10th and 11th of May 2016. And yes, that is a frog. And that is what you're looking at for chart of the day. I found it quite interesting to humor myself and probably to bring some sense of humor to everybody else that's watching this. I hopefully you actually find it in some way, shape or form funny. Today's chart of the day sharing is actually regarding the Taurus archetype, and in particular the syndrome that is called the frog in the well that is associated with Taurus. Okay, and so that's why we are staring at a frog at the moment, and that it has, you know, in some random way, a direct connection to what we're going to be talking about today. So before we jump into that interesting discussion, let's just have a look at some of the activity that's actually taken place on the chart. So the first thing that we've got is that the moon is in Cancer, and the moon will leave Cancer and probably enter Leo by tomorrow evening. Around about this time here in Sweden. It's about 10 o'clock here. So the moon will be moving out of Cancer and into Leo, and the sun is still in Taurus, making that connection with Mercury and Venus. And Venus is moving direct, so it's moving that way. Mercury is actually retrograde, and it actually conjuncted the sun 2 days ago, this was on Sunday, Monday. That conjunction was taking place. And for me, there was actually quite a lot of stuff that came up, and I'm, willing to share that with you today as well. So that was an interesting conjunction for me. Let's see what else. Pluto is still 17 degrees retrograde. Nothing's changed there. Saturn is now at 14 degrees, so one click downward again. Mars has moved a degree as well. Jupiter is now stationary, if I understand this correctly. So that's a big deal. Maybe I need to do a video on that. Okay. Yeah, I will be doing a video on Jupiter stationary. So let's get into the chart itself. In terms of activity, apart from the moon making this quincunx to Saturn, and that's over there, and of course Saturn making the quincunx to Venus at that stage, I feel the significance of the 15 degree, 13 degree, and 14 degree symbolism goes along like this. Okay, inherently in each archetype, in each sign, there must be other signs that influence the nature of how that sign operates. Okay, so to make this clear, in the fire sign of Sagittarius, there is a natural trine. There's a 120 degree angle from Sagittarius all the way to Aries, and Leo, the same thing, and they make a grand fire trine. So Sag inherently has this self-validating expression, and it also has this natural capacity to be very impulsive in what type of belief systems or philosophies, etc., that it contains. Okay, now in our philosophy, we naturally validate Leo, our philosophies, and it directs our lives. So you can see that's how that's working there. Sag also requires this need for discernment around what information is essential to make choices regarding which direction to go in life. So naturally that need for discernment is Virgo. There's a square there between the two. There's a 90 degree angle between Sagittarius and Virgo. 30 degrees, 6 degrees, 90 degrees sign. So my point is that each sign contains within itself influence from other signs. Now, the angles themselves will dictate the nature of what the energy is like. So, of course, with a square, there's tension, there's a need for growth. If it's a trine, it's naturally flowing. And in the case of these 150 degree angles called quincunxes or inconjuncts, there are blind spots. Okay, so wherever you see those in your astrology chart, note that you have got these angles that are causing you to not see clearly. The two angles don't see each other. Okay, or should I say the two signs don't see each other. So Taurus doesn't really see Sag really well, and Cancer doesn't really see Sag well in that sense. Okay, and then of course Sag doesn't see them as well. Yet Taurus and Cancer actually see each other really, really well because they're sextiling each other. So this is what makes a yod. So how does this work in terms of chart of the day? How does this work in terms of looking at an astrology chart and having those symbols? And the frog. Well, it works like this. So the frog in the well syndrome is associated with Taurus. And the reason why is because the essential fundamental evolution of Taurus archetype is about survival. Okay, it is the fundamental root of survival. So in human form, it shows up as how we basically procreate. In animal form, the same thing. How do we survive? I spoke about this in the New Moon Taurus video in terms of how, when we are in our environment, do we need to not only osmose with our environment, Scorpio, but we need to be able to identify what resources we have available to us so that we can then facilitate the needs that we have on a physical level. Okay, so anybody that's got a 12th house Pluto will naturally have Neptune in the second. And the reason why this is the case is because 12th house Pluto souls want to naturally transcend the physical. And how does the transcending soul stay in the physical? So the spirituality comes through the second house. So it's about how do you sustain yourself in your most basic psychological needs. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this was the basic psychological need of sleep, eating, and procreation. So from that point, what happens is that the Taurus archetype essentially then contains the ability to be very resourceful and stable and secure and not need to open up its own boundaries to in any way whatsoever move, because it can facilitate its own needs. So the Taurus archetype then shows up as the frog in the well, because what happens is it's like the frog sitting right at the bottom of the well, looking up at the sky and seeing a portion of the sky. But of course, the natural vision of whatever's contained outside the well itself cannot be seen. And the reason why, again, this is the case is because there's no need to move. The frog doesn't need to move. It's very comfortable in its position. It can facilitate its needs. It doesn't need anybody's help, etc. And so therefore, it finds itself in this situation of, I don't need anybody, etc. Self-reliant, self-resourceful. So that then limits the perception of reality, because it's like, I'm not moving. So Scorpio, and any of you guys that have actually got strong Taurus signatures in your chart will know this very clearly. Scorpio comes along, which is its polarity, and goes, well, there's no point in you just sitting in one place, because as much as you can facilitate your need for safety and security and the need for stability in one place, you're not going to evolve. So because that's the case, you're irritating me and I'm going to pull the rug from under your feet. And you actually experience that rug being pulled under your feet, which creates necessary shock, Aquarius, in order to move in a new direction. And so the idea here with these symbols in Taurus, with Venus in Taurus, Mercury in Taurus, and of course the Sun in Taurus, is the lessons of how do you, or what, not how do you, but how do you be able to balance the equation between becoming self-reliant and self-resourceful, but not to the point where you shut out all opinions, ideas, perspectives, resources, opportunities, because you feel that it's, number one, not needed, two, your resources in themselves can be facilitated, so why bother share with anybody else, and so on and so forth. Now, how does that connect with the actual Sagittarius and Cancer archetype? Well, inherently, within all belief structures, there's a sense of value and a sense of survival that is associated with it. That's why you'll notice that most people will actually go out to war to go and fight for a belief system, because inherently in the belief system, there is a justification of their actions through the value or the need for whatever it is. So in this particular instance, it will be the need for security, the need for self-sustainability, the need for believing in your truth. So the quincunxes today show us up as, at the moment, we are purifying, cleansing, clearing, breaking free from belief structures and identities that have basically served us in the past but no longer help us anymore. And as you can see, Saturn, Mars, Neptune, Jupiter now, of course, that's ruling those two symbols, or that's direct. They're making that kite. Okay, so it's the overall shifting of those belief systems and the purification of those belief systems. And then these two symbols over here are asking, how do you facilitate deep security? How do you facilitate deep inner sense of safety as you transit into the void and let go of the belief systems that held your feeling of safety and security before? And how do you open yourself up to new directions and allow yourself to actually be trustful in yourself enough to know what your self-reliance and your self-resourcing capabilities are? Okay. Awesome, guys. Thanks very much for listening today. I just want to let you know that I've got a new chart of the day presentation format coming up, which I'm really excited to be sharing with you. And also a new thing that I wanted to share with you as well is that you can subscribe to the channel so that you get your daily updates regarding chart of the day and all other videos. And in the description below is a link to my emailing list. So if you want to know about when new moon, full moon articles are coming out, when workshops are coming out, any information that I'm sending out is contained in that newsletter. So you can sign up by just clicking the link, and it will take you literally to the place where you type in your email address, and that will add it to you. Okay. All right. Fantastic, guys. Have a wonderful week, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.